Hello and welcome to Island Origins Live on Jamaicans.com. I am your host, publisher Calibe Thompson, and tonight on the show we will be chatting with the man in charge of making sure Jamaica stays at the forefront when it comes to Caribbean tourism, Mr. Donovan White. Before we get started, I will invite you to like, share, and subscribe both the Island Origins page and the Jamaicans.com page. Tonight's episode is live, so if you have questions or comments for Mr. White, please put them in the comments. We will be sure to ask. And of course, tonight's episode is brought to you by the Jamaica Tourist Board and the island of Jamaica.
This is what you've been waiting for, a chance to change your point of view and take the break you deserve at Jamaica's resorts and attractions. When you can open your door to the seaside, instead of just outside, where you can change your mask and take a plunge.
Sunshine smiling warm up inside your heart, feeling of pure love. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat, dancing to the beat up inside your heart, heartbeat of the world. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat.
Contact your travel agent today to book your staycation. Rediscover Jamaica.com.
I love it. Let's get started with Island Origins Live. Joining me on this episode of Island Origins Live, our guest is the current Director of Tourism for the Jamaica Tourist Board. His job is to oversee the marketing of Jamaica to the world. He's coming from a background as VP of Cable and Wireless and VP of Marketing at Flow, both in Jamaica. Mr. Donovan White, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Calibe. It's nice to be with you this evening.
Thank you for coming on this evening. And I want to reiterate to our guests, I see some comments coming in already. Hi, Karen. Thank you, guys. If you have comments, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. This is a live show. And if you have comments for Mr. White, we want to get those in. So I have quite a few questions to fit into our 30 minutes this evening. So let's get right into it. I have read that tourism accounts for up to 34% of Jamaica's GDP.
Right.
With that in mind, how is Jamaican tourism faring compared to this time last year? And how is that change affecting the budget of Jamaica?
Like every other tourism-dependent nation, we are feeling the adversity of brought on by the pandemic, with the cessation of traffic, air traffic, as well as cruise. And so in terms of, visitation and the benefits that tourism bring to our economy, we went through a period from mid-March to mid-June where we had absolutely no arrivals and therefore absolutely no income earned from the business of tourism. That has never happened in history. And so that we set the proper context for your viewers. It's the first time in 70 years of the aviation industry that the entire industry globally was ground to a halt, where planes sat on the tarmacs and in hangars for weeks, and airports were closed and borders were closed. And so it has been a devastating impact across the world, and of course Jamaica is no different. So we are beginning to pick the pieces up and begin the process of rebuilding the industry, and we're doing so in a very structured, very phased, very careful, very thoughtful way, to ensure that we maintain a level balance between the importance of restarting our economy, but also being totally observant on the importance of life and livelihoods at the same time. So it's a delicate balance that we've had to make, and that we continue to make, and we have to continue to just stress the importance of everyone, both Jamaicans who live in Jamaica, Jamaicans coming back to Jamaica, as well as visitors coming to Jamaica, that the protocols are the absolute Bible by which we will live with COVID,
Right.
and that we ask everyone to observe those protocols, which include that you must wear your mask if you're in a public place. We ask for social distance or physical distance to be observed, at least 6 feet apart. And, you know, everywhere you go, in a public space, certainly in the tourism industry, you are constantly being reminded to sanitize your hands, and walk with your own sanitizer where possible as well, so that you can take care of your own hand hygiene. So we've been trying to be extremely vigilant in getting folks to adhere to these protocols. It's never easy, because it's an unusual ask of persons, because they've never been forced to live to these kinds of stringent measures. But if we hope to recover economically, as well as begin to just get our lives back to some level of normalcy, it's the standard by which we all have to adhere.
Sure. And Jamaica seems to be doing a very good job. I keep hearing Jamaica referenced on television and so forth. You have the reins of marketing brand Jamaica at a very precarious time, obviously. For us here in South Florida, we just got our first Jamaican mayor of Broward County. And you could walk through the airport and hear Wagwan as you're coming down the walkway. And it felt like within a few days, or I'm sure it wasn't, but it felt like right after he got into the seat, here comes COVID, and all of the grand things that we would have liked to see happen were now kind of pushed to the side, and we're all focused on COVID. You are managing our precious commodity of Jamaica at a uniquely challenging time as well. So how did you and your team go about the process of deciding to reopen fully for tourism?
Well, let me start responding to you by, first of all, acknowledging the team. You know, we have a very astute team, very hardworking, not just the marketing team, but the entire team of the Jamaica Tourist Board here in Jamaica, in North America, in both the US and Canada, in the UK, in Germany, where we have offices. But also we have a number of contracted agencies that help us to promote Jamaica in places around the world that are very remote and sometimes speaks languages other than English. And you know, what we have been able to achieve since March 21st, when our borders were closed, to when we reopened June 15th, is simply amazing. We huddled very soon into the pandemic, and working with our agency partners in New York, both on the creative side as well as on the communication side, to really craft a strategy that allowed us to position ourselves within the minds of people around the world positively, first and foremost. We made sure that our initial strategy was to empathize with everyone around the world who was experiencing this pandemic that the world has not seen anything like it in 50 years. And so many of us, including myself, who was born 50 years ago, would not have experienced anything like this. And so we wanted to make sure that our messaging was empathetic, but at the same time was positive and forward-looking. And then immediately thereafter, you know, we thought, well, you know, so many persons are sheltered in and really wanted positive images, wanted a vibe to have an energy to, you know, persons who are working from home and wanted, you know, just a break away from the regimen of work and just worrying what tomorrow will bring. And so we developed a number of digital campaigns. Probably the most notable at the time was Escape to Jamaica. And really what we did with that is to use our assets, culture, food, music, or people, and create content for that we could transmit like we are speaking now virtually. So we used our IGs or Facebooks or Twitter handles or YouTube handles, and really allowed people to wanderlust about Jamaica and about wanting to remind them of the treasure that we offer to visitors and vacationers around the world. And we found that went extremely well. Persons appreciated that we allowed them to think about something more positively and more, more enlightening and filled with a little bit more energy while they start at home trying to, determine how next they're going to do or to behave. And so that went well. And we transitioned from there into reopening. But whilst we're doing that, we were also hunkered down at the boardroom table with a number of our destination partners and our external partners, developing a world-class set of protocols that was in fact one of the first protocols that the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC, acknowledged and endorsed for safe travels back in the early June. And we're very proud of that work because it has stood out as one of the best in class set of protocols that has been developed by destinations around the world. And for that, we are extremely, extremely proud of that work.
I want to ask you about that because I'm flipping through YouTube one day, as I do sometimes, and here's Chris Hayes on MSNBC talking about how on a particular, whichever day it was, Jamaica, little island Jamaica only had 14 new cases. They're always comparing America and Jamaica. And all of them came from off the island. And the point he was making is that this little country, the Catalawa country, has been doing such a great job in terms of, how you are operating safely, keeping locals safe and keeping the visitors safe. So I do want you to talk about some of those protocols, aside from the mask wearing and so forth. I see a video that I'll show while you're talking with the people even wiping down the elevator buttons and talk about your protocol, your spectacular protocol.
The protocols, first of all, with these situations, you develop these documents, and oftentimes they find themselves in the bottom of the pile as yet another piece of written document that nobody uses. But we said, once we develop the protocols, then our tourism product development company, TPD Co., their responsibility for destination assurance took over the protocols, and then they developed a training model for the workers of the industry. The tourism industry employs some 170,000 workers directly, and indirectly another 120,000 through the linkages of other industries. So there's over 300,000 workers in Jamaica that depend on the tourism industry for their livelihoods. And so we had to set about to train the workers as to how to apply these protocols in real life situations. And that's what the video that you're watching is now, was to provide for the Jamaican public as well as for the rest of the world an assurance that we are not just talking about protocols, but we are actually implementing them and executing them on a daily basis. So we wanted to provide that level of confidence to viewers and to anyone who wants to use our tourism product, whether from home or abroad, that it's safe to do so and that the protocols are fully implemented in our work. And so, it was all part of that grand strategy of really making sure that we're not just saying we're doing things, as our minister likes to say, Minister Bartlett. He likes to reassure us that we must not only say what we're going to do, but we must also be willing to do it and to demonstrate that it's done, so that you provide that level of confidence to the marketplace, that people feel assured that they can be part of our tourism product again and come to Jamaica and feel safe.
And we actually, I'm going to bring up Mr. Bartlett in a moment too, but we actually here in the US And I'm sure in Jamaica, there's a couple on Instagram, and let me see if I can just bring them on screen while we're talking, who went viral, I believe, for their let's bring, yeah, there they are, right? They went viral, 60,000 plus views, talking about this trip to Jamaica, and how they got the app, and the app asked them why are they leaving Montego Bay, and they talked about the various steps and the testing and the, you know, just all of the things that have been put in place to make visitors again and locals just feel safe.
Right.
So we went crazy over it here, obviously, but what was the reaction to a video like that in Jamaica? And what is that process like for those who may not have seen this video? What is the process like when you are now coming into Jamaica from the US?
Right. So you know, technology is not just, it's not new. It's been around, and it's been there to assist us in everything we do. And as part of the recovery from COVID, the government of Jamaica saw the need to find a solution to enable you know, some almost 10,000 Jamaicans who were stuck overseas to be able to repatriate them, both those who had to come via air traffic and those who were stuck on cruise ship at sea, who work in the cruise industry. And so there was an engagement of a technology company by the government of Jamaica to design a platform that would allow those 10,000 plus, actually it was more like 20, closer to 20,000 persons who were stuck overseas, to give us an opportunity to allow for our health professionals to be able to screen their coming back home and to put them in a position to keep them safe and to keep the rest of the society safe in terms of spread of COVID. Once we did that and saw the success of it and how it worked, then as part of planning our way back for the tourism industry, we then sat down and had a real discussion around how do we use this same technology for visitors to be able to allow for our health officials to be able to have a sense of the persons applying to come to Jamaica, where they're coming from, what contact they have had with COVID, whether themselves or with persons around them in their environment, as a pre-screening modality. And then we use the opportunity to connect our immigration and customs declaration to that same pre-screening. And here came the travel authorization platform. And so we used the experience of finding a solution to bring Jamaicans home, to expand that to restart our tourism industry. And then our web platform, which was designed to be you know, very dynamic and enabled to pivot and to do things that we weren't yet ready to do when we launched it a year and a half ago. We were able to then use visitjamaica.com as the holding platform to traverse all that traffic that of persons applying for authorization to fly to Jamaica. And so it has been one building block after the next. You know, because it's all part of the learning experience. Every day we got up, we discovered some new opportunities. We all read a lot and learned a lot of information during that period, and that has enabled us to really take the best of what's available in the world of travel today and be able to make our own sets of protocols. And the protocols are not static. As I said, every day there are new technologies, new methodologies, new ways of doing things that are emerging. And so we've kept the protocols very dynamic so that we can continually add, adjust, and communicate, most of all, whenever we make changes, so that the traveling public who are looking for safe destinations to travel to or safe processes to help them to travel, that Jamaica will always be certainly front of mind in terms of those decision making, and then that in and of itself is an innovation that we are extremely proud of, not just here at the Tourist Board, but the entire government of Jamaica, because we don't operate in a silo. We don't operate on our own. We are part of a bigger system of government that has allowed us to function in this way, and hopefully we will continue to grow our numbers as part of this phased restart, and the tourism industry will continue to get traction and to build as more travel locations or countries open up and more air traffic increases. That as that happens, we will continue to grow and, touch wood, continue to manage our own COVID system of management in country, to allow for us to continue to do the things we do from a tourism perspective.
Again, it seems like they're doing a fantastic job. I'm fascinated by that app, and I'm so happy that lady shared it on Instagram so we could share it as well. I do want to recognize the people who are saying hello from Rhode Island. That's Patty Makers. You're getting a lot of hellos. Kevin Cousin says he loves what you're doing. Delia Hudson, or Dahlia, I'm not sure. Hudson, hi from New Zealand.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, man. Carlene says hi from New York. And then we have 2 audience questions before I get back into mine. Sure. Karen Lee Murphy says, very impressive leadership and strategies that have been well executed by the team. In every good plan, there are a few hiccups. Can you share some of the lessons learned while Jamaica is still doing way better than larger countries?
Hiccups in a situation, a global health pandemic, is daily. Nobody's perfect. No system is perfect. But I'd say probably, we have had some very stringent rules about coming to Jamaica. One hiccup that probably, I should use this medium to appeal or to make an appeal to Jamaicans, both Jamaicans living at home and Jamaicans coming back to Jamaica for either holidays or being repatriated, is that, we depend on your vigilance to get our economy restarted through tourism. Tourism is our #1 economy. In terms of its direct contribution to GDP, it's 9.5% last year. Overall contribution to GDP, when you take the indirect and induced incomes to the economy, it's about 34%. So we as a nation, as an economy, depend on our tourism industry to provide that, to lead that way. But we can only be so successful as our own Jamaicans at home and those coming home adhere to the protocols and wear your mask, walk around with your hand sanitizer, use your hand sanitizer, and most importantly, observe the instructions about social distancing. There's too many of us have probably taken the issues of COVID a little bit too lightly. Yes, we have managed well and therefore kept our cases down, the death count down. I think today, at the end of yesterday, I think we had 920, or end of today, sorry, we have 920 cases and 12 deaths. We have a recovery rate of about 84%, which is fantastic in terms of the levels of recovery that we've had. So we only have, I think, somewhere in the order of about 100 active cases. Obviously, we want to continue to reduce that number, but we can only do it with the help of every Jamaican. And the majority of the cases that we've had, if not all the cases we've had since reopening our borders, have been imported cases that are not necessarily tourists either. So I'm using an opportunity that you have afforded us to make that appeal to our Jamaican citizens to recognize that you are also part of this product and you're part of why we are successful, and we want to continue to have this process of reopening safely. But at the same time, we want to also work with the Ministry of Health and all other officials in the process to ensure that we do our part in containing the spread of the virus. And so we look forward to that support, and that, you know, that these words and so many others before me have made that plea, that you observe, especially a weekend like this weekend, Independence Weekend, when there's so many activities that people want to get out and be a part of. We ask that you do it safely and observe the necessary protocols. Wherever you go, have fun, but just remember, COVID is still alive and well.
Yes, happy Independence, Jamaica, but be safe while you're out there having your parties, right? I do want to just recognize the people who are saying hello. On screen right now, we have Chris Chin Hansen getting ready to go home. Jamaica, all tests are done. Hopefully all will continue to go well. I will be there. Ann Barrett Taylor is saying, great job, Jamaica, from Namibia in Africa.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Anita Francis says, great job. Proud to be Jamaican. Edmund McCoy says, no place like yard. And then I think there's another question here from Michelle James. And she asks, the dynamic of the virus is such that testing is sketchy. Mm-hmm. One can test negative one day and positive the next, and results aren't immediate. So will traveling still be a concern?
It is a concern. The virus is people are carriers of the virus. Mm-hmm. And so once people are moving around and doing things out in the open, they are susceptible to contracting the virus. And that's why it's so important to wear your mask and to protect your hands with hand sanitizers as much as you can. Keep your hands out your face, out of your mouth, out of your nose, and keep your distance. You know, I have this paranoia of being outside, you know, in any kind of public space right now. And when I do go out, I'm constantly, you know, especially if I'm trying to go into a place of business or the supermarket or the pharmacy or whatever it is, and I'm standing in a queue, I'm constantly looking behind me and reminding persons, you're too close, you are too close. I wish, you know, everyone could take that approach and just remind the person next to you that they're too close. Because if we don't take that kind of personal vigilance, you know, we leave our own selves, you know, susceptible to contracting the virus. And so the only advice I can give is to remind everyone who is listening and everyone who is asking that the only reason why we've been relatively successful with the managing of this pandemic is because we, for a long time in the early stage of the pandemic, we observed as a nation the strict protocols as much as could be expected. Our health authorities did a fantastic job in terms of managing the pandemic from the perspective of contact tracing, containment, management, so that we slow and in fact almost flatten our curve completely. Now we have to maintain that, and that's not an easy task. You know, because more persons are out now. We're slowly opening the economy, so there's more people in public spaces, and so that's where it becomes even more challenging and more important. That I can't say it enough that we observe the three critical protocols, the three most important protocols: wear your mask, keep your hands clean as at all times, and most importantly, observe physical distancing from the person next to you.
Yes, I don't know why people love to touch people so much. It's too much.
We're loving people. We're loving people.
That's all right. Keep your distance. Everybody can keep their distance from me. I'm like you. Now, I do want to emphasize that since we are airing on Jamaicans.com, right, this is something I want to point out. Your first step in reopening travel was to facilitate the repatriation of Jamaicans.
Yes.
Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett declared that the government of, quote, the government of Jamaica will reopen its borders for the repatriation of nationals as of 1 June 2020. And then the system did not open up for international travelers for another 2 weeks after that. So we took care of our own Jamaican people first, and then everybody else came along. Why was that important?
Because every Jamaican has a right to be here. Every Jamaican, you know, there's no way we could have, as a country, allowed for the reopening of our borders facilitated to foreign nationals before we allowed Jamaicans who have a right to be here to come home first, or at least to begin their process of repatriation first. And so that's as simple as that. You know, every Jamaican has a right to be in Jamaica. And unless there is like a pandemic where you have to close your borders to take control of the situation, then you find the next best opportunity to reopen and to let them in. And so that took the priority, and as it should. That was a very successfully executed project by a number of state agencies and government ministries, and you know, our first responders and persons who have had to work through designing those protocols for the repatriation of Jamaicans and then executing them flawlessly, you know, was a work of art, and something that it just goes to show you that sometimes in the worst of times, you know, the Jamaican spirit of our people really comes to the fore and demonstrate that, you know, we may be a lot of things, but when it comes to being great, we have that in our DNA, and it shows at times like these when we respond so immaculately.
I love that. I love it. While we have so many people watching, I do want to show again this ad for the diaspora, right? As Heartbeat of Jamaica. So give me one moment. We're going to show this ad.
This is what you've been waiting for. A chance to change your point of view and take the break you deserve at Jamaica's resorts and attractions. When you can open your door to the seaside instead of just outside, where you can change your mask and take a plunge.
Sunshine smiling warm up inside your heart, feeling of pure love. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat, dancing to the beat up inside your heart, heartbeat of the world. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat.
Contact your travel agent today to book your staycation. RediscoverJamaica.com.
How come you're not dancing, Mr. White? I don't know.
I'm entertaining myself.
Oh, and you're doing a great job. So this is part of our Rediscover Jamaica campaign. And while we have all of our wonderful viewers on Jamaicans.com and on Island Origins watching, what do you want us to come back? I remember I grew up with a young lady, a young lady was my friend, and she spent all of her life in Jamaica, migrated to the US, and she told me she'd never been to Negril and never been to Duns River Falls. Yeah. Exactly. So even as a Jamaican, there's a whole heap of stuff that many of us have not seen and experienced. What is it that you want us to do when we come back home, sir?
So let me take that one a little bit further back before I answer your question. There's a notion that this campaign was only designed because of COVID, and because the industry needs Jamaicans to take their staycation. The fact is, the Jamaica Tourist Board has always, for the last 8 years or so, I've always had a summer campaign called Experience Jamaica. And so as we reopened and as we started to open up the economy somewhat, we realized, we're entering summer. And we were getting ready to roll out the Experience Jamaica campaign, and I said, guys, let's pause for a minute. Let's take a look at the campaign. Let's pull it apart and see how we can make it even more exciting. you know, because it's part of marketing. You always want to look at what you've done, look at the success of it, and see how you can do it better. And so we, you know, we got together with our agency and we sat down and we had a really strong conversation about how do we create something that is super exciting and demonstrates the mood of Jamaicans who, when you think about it, there are so many Jamaicans who travel in the summer holidays for vacation, take their families away, their kids away. There's so many Jamaicans who come home from school and work abroad to spend their summers. And so we thought, you know, here's an excellent opportunity to really, you know, stimulate the mind about, you know, going on this journey of rediscovering Jamaica. Because one of the things that has happened with the pandemic and with the shutdown of the industry is that, you know, a lot of things have regenerated themselves from a nature perspective for sure, but also a lot of our products have been refreshed. A lot of our products on the accommodation as well as attractions have been refreshed by the owners and investors. And so we thought what a great opportunity would be if every Jamaican who is looking or have an appetite to have a vacation this summer, to take that vacation right here in Jamaica. And so we felt, we found a typical family. We casted a typical family for this ad that we believe truly represents what a Jamaican family looks like, and how they felt going on a vacation. And the ad really, and the entire campaign has really demonstrated and has resonated well in Jamaica as well as in our diaspora communities. You know, where it's now part of that advertising space. So we've again, it's part of the innovation that we have allowed ourselves to embark on. In shooting this campaign, we also shot a series of virtual tours on different places and things in Jamaica. And so we're now in the process of sharing that content on all of our digital platforms. And we've done them long form as well as short form. So you see the short form on IG and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, but you can also click through in the bio page of each of these platforms, and it will take you to the long form video on our website. You know, and the feedback has been phenomenal. You know, persons who have never, like you've said, been to Duns River, we gave them a first person angle of a virtual tour, going from the entrance of Duns River all the way to the top of the falls. It was an unbelievable experience. It is our most iconic attraction, and we felt that we couldn't do a virtual tour without doing one on Duns River. We've done Portland, we've done the South Coast experience, we've done the Negril experience, we've done the Montego Bay experience, and then in between we've done a whole coffee experience in the Blue Mountains as well as the Blue Mountain Trail. So, you know, we've felt that we've had to pivot for the last 2-3+ years from sun, sand, and sea to Jamaica beyond the beaches, because there's so much beauty and so much gloriousness about Jamaica that's off the coast, that we want everyone who comes to Jamaica or chooses Jamaica as their vacation destination to know that when you get here, there is a tremendous amount of opportunities for you to really immerse yourself into our assets, with our people. And our assets include our gastronomy, our food, our drink, or wine, or rums, or beer, you know, jerk, as our spices. You know, we now have great purveyors of farm to table experiences where we have
Bush in the bush.
Bush in the bush. You know, there are just so many real, authentic Jamaican experiences that we want travelers to know that when you come to Jamaica, these are the experiences that will make you memories that you'll have for a lifetime.
Amazing. I thank you very much for this, sir. I would love to end on that note, but there's a question here that I think people will want the answer for.
Sure.
And this question is a technical one. With one traveling to Jamaica for under 14 days for business, will there be limited quarantine for them as long as the test is negative?
The protocol for business traveler require that they are not required to pre-test, but they are expected to be tested on arrival. They're also expected to self-quarantine at their hotel until their results are known. The Ministry of Health and Wellness have worked, very astutely in terms of trying to reduce the turnaround time for those, especially for business travelers test, because we understand that business travelers are typically traveling for 3, 4, 5 days, and so they need to get out and get their businesses done. So we've tried as best as possible to facilitate those from a health perspective. There's always challenges, and we always try to work around those challenges. So if in effect, to answer the question more directly, once they get in, they will be tested. They will be asked to stay in place at their hotel until they are contacted about their results. If they're negative, then they are allowed to go out and conduct their businesses. If they're positive, they would be asked to continue to self-quarantine themselves or to submit themselves for public isolation.
Okay. Thank you for all of that information. Karen Lee Murphy says, phenomenal job, Mr. White. Thank you for all you do to ensure safety. We got some big ups as well. Enough respect to Mr. Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Tufton, CMO, and the rest of the teams. They are all doing an excellent job. And I appreciate you spending an extra 11 minutes with me so far.
We could talk all evening if you would.
People seem to be watching, so that would actually work out well. But we want to respect your time and everyone else's time. Is there anything else that you want to say to the Jamaican people, the Jamaicans in the diaspora and in New Zealand and Namibia and Rhode Island and New York and wherever else everybody else is watching from before you go?
First of all, I'd say to them, stay safe and wear your mask. Please wear your mask and just observe your distance from everyone else. I'd also say that at your first opportunity, if you choose to travel, make it Jamaica. There's a lot that we want to remind you of in person and want you to enjoy our beautiful country. So if you are considering travel, do consider Jamaica. We have worked hard to provide you with a safe, secure, and seamless destination, and we hope that we'll see them soon. Right here on the Rock, Jamaica.
Yeah, man.
This is what you've been waiting for. A chance to change your point of view and take the break you deserve at Jamaica's resorts and attractions. When you can open your door to the seaside instead of just outside. Where you can change your mask and take a plunge.
Sunshine smiling warm up inside your heart. Feeling of pure love. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat. Dancing to the beat. Up inside your heart. Heartbeat of the world. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat.
Contact your travel agent today to book your staycation. RediscoverJamaica.com.